Greetings and welcome to Flavourful Eats. Today we're making bread again during our lockdown, and we have Shiva with his dad Vikram, who's our neighbors not too far from us. So,
hi, nice to meet you. Do you want to say hello to the camera?
hello Shiva, hello Vikram, welcome. And without much ado, let's get started with the wonderful bread that we're making, that unusual flour Teff. Not many people know about Teff.
Is a wonderful, wonderful flour. I first happened upon it when I went to an Ethiopian restaurant in Boston,
Yes.
Addis Ababa, Red Sea Addis Ababa, which unfortunately has since closed. They closed last year, unfortunately. But that was when I was first introduced to Teff, because they make these Teff pancakes that you sort of eat. It's similar to chapati, more akin maybe to dosa, but they're made with Teff flour. And Teff is one of the oldest grains on earth. Ethiopia, as we know, is arguably the center of civilization, and so it's also extremely nutritious and just incredibly healthy. So the idea is to make the bread with Teff without overwhelming, because Teff itself as a flour can be a little bit grainy, and it sort of absorbs liquid, and so I found mixing it with other flours was sort of best for getting sort of optimal nutritional value as well as the bread that's delicious. So I found that the mixture of the flours is sort of such that I have 3 parts white flour, 2 parts whole wheat flour, and 1 part Teff flour. I believe the ingredients will be listed. That's probably correct? So first is to mix together the wet ingredients. So first we have our water, right? And so we put our water into the bowl, right? Like this. Then we add our yeast.
So we tell our audience it's tepid water.
Yes, it's tepid water. It's not hot water. It's not cold water. It's sort of a little bit warmer than lukewarm, but not so hot that you feel like, oh, this is kind of hot water, but sort of lukewarm, because otherwise it will kill the yeast, and then your bread won't rise, and then you won't eat it. So tepid water, and then we add some yeast, and then we add our salt. And we have some honey, and then we have some oil, and all the measurements are in the ingredients. I use olive oil, sure.
This is a very good math lesson for children, actually.
Yes, it is. Now, I like to use a whisk because the yeast is a little bit sort of dotty itself. It doesn't really like to mix well. So I whisk this all up. It really sort of seems like sort of this, I don't know,
Actually,
weird mixture, as you can see.
Okay. When you have it on the table in front of Shiva, we could actually see it.
Here. Okay, a little bit. There you go.
Good job, Shiva.
So you need the honey sort of activates the yeast and gives the yeast something to eat that then produces the gas that makes the bread rise. And I believe that salt is also a critical component in some way. I forget the reason why though. So anyway, so now we have our mixture here.
As the yeast needs sugar, the yeast needs salt too.
Yes.
But too much of salt kills the yeast. So you have to have the right amount too.
Yeah. And there's also the flavor component for salt, right? The salt brings out certain flavors in the bread. So not a lot of salt, but not too little either. So anyway, then we mix in our flour. So here's our white flour. Right?
So white flour, are you using all-purpose flour or are you using bread flour?
I'm actually using all-purpose flour. Yes, actually there's a great place called Baker's Authority that's based in Brooklyn, New York. And when this pandemic first hit, it was almost impossible to find bread. So, impossible to find flour, rather. So I went online, I found this place, and we bought a 50-pound bag of flour, King Arthur's artisan flour.
Oh, nice.
You want to pour this in? All right. And so anyways, and I would 50-pound bag of flour that we're making bread with all the time. And we no longer buy bread. All of our bread now, yes, pour that in as well. Good.
Where did you get the Teff from?
And then the Teff flour is here as well. The Teff flour actually got online on Amazon.
Okay.
There are several. You can get sort of like Bob's Red Mill flour, but I found a place that actually comes from East Africa.
Yes.
Um, and so I find that that's really, really good. And but the thing is, I believe some Indian groceries carry cut flour. You can find it locally. That's ideally what I'd like to do, but I've not had the time and the bandwidth yet to do it. So anyway, then we mix this stuff together, and I sort of like to do a preliminary mixing with the spatula. This way, get these things out of the way. So now, once you have it sort of preliminary mixed here, you have to get your hands in here. And as people have been making bread literally for thousands of years. Prior to yeast, people really made sourdough bread. It's very easy to do. I've not gone down that path yet. That's my plan. Very easy to do. Apparently, you just use flour and water and mix it, leave it on the counter, and then, in a few days' time, you have sourdough starter.
That's true.
So, but for the sake of time, yeast makes it easier. So now what I do is I sort of mix it together, drop it on there, and then I clean out this bowl, and then I oil it because it has to sit in here, and we have to give it time to proof. So I quickly rinse this out, dry, put a drop of oil in here. And
using a paper towel to grease your bowl.
So there's our bowl for this. And so now comes the actual kneading and mixing of the dough. And now this is sort of the preliminary stuff, and you want to sort of get everything mixed together well. And
Shiva should be the one kneading it right now.
Yes, you should.
He's right now. Yes. Yummy.
So once you sort of knead it together, I like to keep mine a little bit wetter. And then, because I think the flour sometimes can get a little clunky if you don't get it like a little moist. And knead it. And people say really, people have really staunch things. You can use a machine, and people say you have to do it a minimum of 8 minutes. But for me, it's come down to sort of a feel, and you just kind of get a sense of when it's mixing together and when it's not. And so I sort of do this sort of weird thing. It's really sticky and doughy and seems to get all over. And it's actually sort of an exercise in frustration when I first did it. This is what it's supposed to be, and it seems so messy. And but then what I do is now I realize it's sort of part of the process. It gets this weird sort of taffy, sticky stuff. But then what I do is I leave it here, and then I go and I wash my hands, and then because this stuff is really sticky, really, really sticky. Even with some oil. I think you can't add too much oil, it sort of spoils it. But then, now I do a dab of flour around. And then this, once I add some flour and I start to roll it, it becomes a little more manageable.
Very manageable.
This was actually the biggest learning curve, was figuring out how to knead the dough. I mean, my granny made atta every single day and stuff. So, obviously she's a master of that kind of stuff. Not so much for me. So there really was a learning curve for this. Now, not too much flour, because then you can get stripes in your bread, which my wife has complained to me about. So I had to sort of alter my technique. But then you sort of roll it up and knead it out. And, once it becomes sort of manageable like this.
I learned a new style of bread.
Huh?
I need some donuts.
You've got dough right there.
I learned a new style of making bread. I always know we knead and knead and knead and knead. I didn't know that you roll it and roll it.
Right now, this is basically it. So now, I just take this and I plunk it in the bowl, and now that's it. And now what I do is I wait about 20 minutes, and it just sort of sits there, and then it about doubles in size. Some people like to use a bread basket. So you can use use a bread basket as well, and you lightly flour it, you put it in here, and all this kind of stuff. I watched some videos, and initially I got this, but then I found that it's actually more trouble than it's worth. So I use this more frequently to actually cover the bread that's rising. Because if you put a towel, then it rises and sticks to the towel. This is sort of, So.
Yes. So you just keep it in a warm place to rise now?
It just sort of sits on the counter. I have sort of a counter light here, so maybe it's a little bit warmer, but it's just at room temperature. And I think given the amount of yeast that I put in there, it's sort of in about 20 minutes or so, it's good. In 20 minutes, I turn on the oven, and then about 20 minutes later, it's ready. So really, it's sort of rising for about 40 minutes.
Okay.
So I got up early this morning, and I did some prep work. And so this is what happens after it's risen for that amount of time.
Okay.
You see this? So now what you do is now you have to sort of punch it down,
Right.
and then it sort of goes down a little bit, and I take it out. And now you want to have a little bit of flour on your counter. Again, not too much. So just scrape it off the sides a little bit like this, and then you just dump it on the counter. Then I have a baking tray with parchment paper. Parchment paper is really the greatest boon, I think, to cooks. For pizza, anything, because otherwise the other nightmare is then everything sticks to everything, and then you can't get anywhere with it.
Cleaning makes it easy too with a parchment paper.
No, don't touch this. This is what I'm now making for the bread. So now the next phase is you just want to sort of turn it into a little ball like this. I really just put a little flour on my hands just so it doesn't stick as I go around. And then you have like this little bun. You just take it, flop it on there. One thing on here. And then you need to score the bread so it has a place to sort of expand into.
It's blocking right now. I can't see it.
So, hold on. Yeah, we will after.
Word, you got the real tools.
It came with the bread bowl. No, Shiv, that's very sharp, so you can't touch that. So once this is scored, the other thing is you need to have a pan in your oven with just that you put water in.
Right.
And so what does this just creates steam in the oven, and this allows for a very crisp crust. Then you take your bread. Here it is.
Yeah. Yes. You can
Flop it in the oven. And then I don't know if this is some sort of weird thing. I mean, you think of how vast the universe is and all these things, but for exactly 30 minutes, then your bread is done.
Right.
So, as I said, I got up early this morning and prepped everything. So now I will show you. I just took the loaf out about half an hour ago.
Hey.
And so then this is what the finished product looks like.
My word, that looks delicious. You want to turn a little bit more and I can get a little bit of that picture? Yes, thank you. That's perfect. So I have a question about the water in your oven. You're not making a bain-marie, right? You're just putting a little bit of water on the side in another container.
Yeah, I put and don't put it in a glass tray. I went down that road. Only use a metal tray when you put water in it. Absolutely not use glass. You think it'll be okay, it will not be okay. Just always use a metal pan when you put water in. The only purpose is to create steam. You can use like a brownie tray, something like this. And I put like 1 or 2 cups of water in there. And this allows the bread to really have a nice crisp crust. So I will cook this for you. Shiva and I are going to share some bread with jam.
That's so yummy.
I'll show from this side so you can see. You can see it's nice and crisp.
Yes, I can hear it.
Then here's this.
Oh my word, it still looks like it's still steaming a little bit.
You want some jam on here, Shiv? Oh, okay. Yes, we have to keep the jam on the high shelf.
It is, isn't it?
Try this. I bet this is better than the dough. Huh? I'm gonna have a piece myself.
It's so yummy.
How do you like it?
The right ingredients, you definitely can make a really, really, really yummy bread.
Very yummy and quick to do. Very easy. Again, Baker's Authority is a place you can get yeast, you can get flour, and Amazon will charge you $20 for a 5-pound bag of flour. You can get a 50-pound bag of flour for like $30 from Baker's Authority.
Baker's Authority is online again. Just go bakersauthority.com.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but they're like the real deal. They sort of supply stuff to bakers around the country.
That looks really delicious, and thank you so much, Shiva, for sharing your lovely, wonderful recipe and your time with me. Thank you, Vikram, for putting that extra work to get this whole thing processed done in steps, even better than recently.
It's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and you're welcome to join us anytime. And thank you all for joining me on Flavourful Eats. Till we meet again, I'm always available on ActonTV.org, and I can be any questions, comments, write to flavorfuleats@gmail.com. Take care, Vikram. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Shiva, bye. Bye. See you. Bye. Take care.
See you.